Hi, I'm Andrea.
I'm Nathan.
And you're joining us for Thirsty Thursday on the Marriage by Design podcast. Thirsty Thursday is a time where we just get into a portion of scripture and talk about that in some depth.
That's right. And this month we are doing Song of Songs, or also known as Song of Solomon. Started opening last week with a little bit about this book generally. And the way that these kind of work is usually we have shared a passage of the actual book and then given some context on it and then some application. We're going to do things a little bit differently in Song of Solomon because we're covering kind of the book generally.
Right.
It is a book of poetry, as we talked about, so there are a lot of themes in it. You know, oftentimes as we read poetry, not just Christian poetry, or biblical poetry, but just poetry in general, it's more of conveying a theme, right, than a specific idea. And that certainly is what Song of Solomon is doing here, although there are specific ideas sort of sprinkled throughout it. So the way we're going to do it is we kind of have one of those themes this week, next week, and the week after that we're going to raise the theme. Andrea has kind of a passage from Song of Solomon that's spoken to her with regards to that theme. Same thing for me, so we'll just kind of go back and forth and share what that verse was. So the theme for this week is pursuit. Mm-hmm. And so a big part of Song of Solomon is the man and the woman, the Shulamite woman and her fiance and then husband in this book, her pursuing them and him pursuing her. So babe, as you read this book, what spoke to you with regards to pursuit?
There's a lot of pursuit in this. Actual pursuit and then sexual pursuit. But one of them that I love is this actual pursuit in chapter 3, starting in verse 1. It says, all night long on my bed, I looked for the one my heart loves. I looked for him but did not find him. I will get up now and go about the city through its streets and squares. I will search for the one my heart loves. So I looked for him, but did not find him. The watchmen found me, and they made their rounds in the city. Have you seen the one my heart loves? Scarcely had I passed them when I found the one my heart loves. I held him and would not let him go till I had brought him to my mother's house, to the room. And then it goes on. There's so much in that I love. So she's kind of pining for her love. And he's not there with her, and she just misses. She's lovesick. She misses him so much. And so she's thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to get up and I'm going to go find him. So she gets up and she goes to find him, and she finds the watchman first. But she asks them, have you seen the one my heart loves? You know, what a sweet way to refer to at that point, it was her fiance. Yeah. What a sweet way to refer to him as the one my heart loves. And they weren't saying, who you talking about, lady? They knew. So she asks them, you know, have you found him? And they go along to do their rounds. And she found him, and what did she do? She wasn't just like, oh, good, glad you're safe. I'm so glad I found you. It says I held on to him and I would not let him go.
She also didn't nag him about why was he not home.
Right.
In bed. I find it stood out to me.
He probably had something important to do. So it says I held him and would not let him go until I brought him back home. And so I love that he has to know by her pursuit of him and her holding on to him and wanting him to be there with her, that this woman loves me. She wants me around. She will pursue me, actually physically pursue me when I'm not there with her, because she wants me to be with her. So much of that I love. And then, you know, this book also is chock full of pursuit just of each other, not actually going out to find each other, but rather pursuit of each other's hearts and bodies and all that sort of thing. And it's a fun book to read in regards to pursuit.
Yeah, so for me, there were several parts in this beginning part that, as I was reading, and I was specifically reading the parts from him because I'm a guy. And so in chapter 1, you know, verse 8, 8 through 10, and then verse 15, and then chapter 2, verses 2, and kind of on from there. There's this back and forth with the two of them where they're adoring each other, and that continues on, and specifically in chapter 4 was the part I'm going to read, but he's adoring his bride, because this was there. If you see in verse 11, it says, "Go out, O daughters of Zion, and look upon King Solomon with the crown with which his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding, on the day of the gladness of his heart." So this is the wedding day for the Shulamite woman and Solomon, if that's how you read this book, and so that's the day they're getting married. So then on down the next, he's admiring his bride on his wedding day, and he says, "Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats leaping down the slopes of Gilead." If I had $1 for every time I've told Andrea, her hair is like a flock of goats.
Flock of goats.
Your teeth are like a flock of shorn ewes. They're white, which back then is saying something if you had white teeth.
And the next part.
They're like a flock of shorn ewes that have come up from the washing, all of which bear twins.
Woo!
Every tooth on the top had a matching tooth on the bottom. And that was a turn on for him. He liked that hygiene. She'd done the orthodontics.
I don't think so.
All of which bear twins, and not one among them has lost its young. You got all your teeth, and that's hot. Your lips are like a scarlet thread, and your mouth is lovely. Your cheeks are like halves of a pomegranate behind your veil. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built in rows of stone. On it hang 1,000 shields, and on them shields of warriors. So
I don't think I'd want you to say some of these things to me.
I'm saying, that's in the Bible. So, all of these, he is pursuing her by sharing with her the things that he loves about her physically. There's something about Solomon, or the man that it's talking about in this book, that really understood the heart of a woman and understood that our wives need to be reinforced physically with what we think about them physically. Because I have to think, as she was listening to these things, her heart was just so full of security and acceptance, and I love you for who you are. I love you for the way that you look. And it's not just women, but certainly I know women can struggle with this at times more than guys, with measuring up physically, and how difficult you ladies can be on yourselves with how you look physically, and that's not a new thing, I would imagine.
Yeah, in chapter 1, she even is down on her appearance about her.
Great call,
she's
babe.
Dark.
Great call.
Because she's had to be out in the sun working, and so verse 5, dark am I, yet lovely, and she's saying her brothers made her work.
Right, verse 6, do not gaze at me because I am dark, because the sun has looked upon me. And yet look at what he says. He, rather than, sometimes when we want to give compliments to our spouse, we can pick the thing they're down on themselves the most and try and convince them that they're wrong. He doesn't do that here, interestingly.
Yeah.
He almost turns that on its head. Hey, you're dark-skinned? That just makes your teeth look all the whiter. Right? He turns the thing she doesn't like, and rather than arguing with her about whether she's beautiful or not in skin color, he doesn't say a thing in here about the color of her skin. He picks the other things that he loves and comments on those things. And I think there's something for us to learn about pursuing our wives. Right? Let's not, if there are things that your wife struggles with insecurity in, let's not sit and argue over those things, right? She has an insecurity in that thing, and it's not okay, right? Ladies, you shouldn't be insecure in those things, right? God made you just the way that he wanted you to be, and you're lovely to him. But I also understand insecurities are insecurities, and we all struggle with them.
You don't need to argue with her about those things, but speaking truth to her is good.
Totally.
Speaking God's truth over hers.
Totally. Now, lest you think that Solomon was not a man, allow me to read you the next verse. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle that graze among the lilies. Until one day breathes and the shadows flee, I will go away to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. You are altogether beautiful, my love. There is no flaw in you. Come with me from Lebanon, my bride. Come with me from Lebanon. Depart from the peak of Amana and the peak of Senir and Harmon from the dens of lions, from the mountain of leopards. So it's not just that he's pursuing her physically, he's pursuing her sexually as well. I mean, he's picking sexual pieces of parts of her and saying, I love that too, and I desire that too. And remember, this is at their wedding.
Right.
So, he's telling her, hey, I desire, I love what I'm seeing, about you. You're lovely. I desire you. I mean, that kind of pursuit isn't physical pursuit like you were talking about, but I think it's just as important pursuit. And I think this is somewhere that couples really can get off, because particularly for guys, we can really be into the physical pursuit side of it. And I don't mean like to get physical. I mean, when you see the girl across the room that you think, man, I really like that girl, we can be good at physically pursuing you girls. And then we get you as our girlfriend and fiance, and then we get married, and now it's like,
Chase is over.
I've got that. So the physical side of it's over, and now we don't know what to do. Or we're too lazy to really focus in on what to do. As opposed to, all right, well now, maybe the pursuit looks a little bit different, but it's the same pursuit, and it's critically important. And Song of Solomon does an excellent job of highlighting that.
Yep. Yes, it does.
That's right.
Yeah, it's great.
Other thoughts on pursuit, baby?
No. I mean, just what you said. It's so important in marriage, too, to continue to pursue each other in every aspect. Emotionally, physically, spiritually.
Yep.
All those pursuits are important.
Right, and tailoring that to your spouse. So she struggled in the physical area, so he pursued her in that area. Maybe your wife or your husband has insecurities or struggles in other areas. Right? Well, you can pursue him in encouragement in those areas and really build up his or her heart doing that.
Right.
So that would be the takeaway, right, for this week. And as we move into this weekend is, let's make this a weekend of pursuing our spouse in new and unique ways. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you took something away from that. Get into Song of Solomon. Read it for yourself. Just 8 chapters long, so certainly manageable. Go in, read it. Next week, we will be talking about pursuit in the area of sex. So you have that to look forward to. Have a great rest of your Thursday, Good Friday, and into the weekend. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Hey, thanks for joining us on Marriage by Design. If you were impacted by this video, like it by hitting the thumbs up below. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and once you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when new episodes release.
Excellent. Also, one of the huge pillars of our show is interactivity between us and you. So we would love you to comment down in the comments below if you have thoughts about this video, or if you have questions or other things you'd like to see considered in the future. In addition, if you'd like, you can email us. That's marriagebydesignpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram @marriagebydesignpodcast, or you can find us on Facebook by searching Marriage by Design Podcast. Finally, if you want to, you can tweet at us. We do have a Twitter account that is @MarriageXDesign. Thanks, and have a great day.